Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Cole. Uh, Sunday, October 11th. Moving now into week 9 of Political Science 1013 for the fall term of 2020. We are working on getting ready for exam 3 now at the end of the month. We've got it on the syllabus, I believe, for Friday, October 30th. This week, we need to take quiz number 5. We will chat about that, about the assigned material, tomorrow night at 7 o'clock for 45 minutes. And then quiz 5 will be available for you to take the following day, Tuesday. It'll be Tuesday the 13th now for 24 hours. Let's say just a few words about the material that you've been assigned. You have one article about the political conventions, because as part of Unit 5 on the presidency, we talk about the presidential election process. And the presidential candidates are formally nominated at the political conventions. Now, these took place at the end of August, not that long ago, although so much has been happening it may seem like a long time ago, I suppose. But these took place at the end of August, the virtual Democratic and Republican national conventions, where Biden and Trump were nominated. Biden was nominated, Trump was renominated. They were to take place originally, the Democrats in Milwaukee and the Republicans in Charlotte. A few activities took place in those places, but of course they were pretty seriously disrupted by the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, and many of the events took place virtually. So the question has been raised, what are the implications of all this for the conventions going forward? Will we continue to have the conventions? You have an article from the Washington Post discussing that. You have an article about the White House Chief of Staff, who is a former member of the House of Representatives, Mark Meadows. That comes from the Politico website. So that, I hope, will give you something of an idea of what goes on inside a presidential administration and what the responsibilities are of a chief of staff. Okay? Trump's presidency has been unusual in many respects. He's gone through a number of chiefs of staff. But for just about all of your and my lifetimes, presidents have found it necessary to have a White House chief of staff. And as we mentioned in the class notes for Unit 5, there's far more to the presidency than just the president. There's a considerable bureaucratic apparatus around the president. And heading up that apparatus is the White House Chief of Staff. So that's something kind of important for us to look at. So I hope you would take a look at that. Then finally, we have a book review. The book being reviewed is by University of California law professor John Yoo, Y-O-O-U. Okay, John Yoo. And he believes in a very strong executive, a very strong presidency. And he believes that, I suppose in some cases, Congress and the courts have moved to limit and constrain the powers of the president too much. So Trump looks upon this very favorably. I believe the article mentions that Professor John Yoo has even visited the White House recently. Look at that. That'll be a challenging read for some of our students. But take a look at that and see what the reviewer of the book thinks of the views of John Yoo. Does he agree with John Yoo's position on presidential power or not? You'll find the Federalist Papers, one of them, is discussed in this article. Not one of the ones that we read that was put in the appendix to your textbook, but another one. So watch very carefully for that and see what you think about these issues surrounding presidential power. Now, there's no question that the presidency has become more powerful, especially in the area of war and peace and national security. There hasn't been a declaration of war since World War II, but there have been all kinds of military interventions in the Cold War era, the post-World War II era. The Cold War, of course, now being over, but we refer to the whole thing as the post-World War II era. That disturbs people because looking at the Constitution, you might say the idea is the war power is divided. The president is the commander-in-chief, but Congress has the power to declare war. Many people would say that the president has sort of usurped or taken over the congressional war power, or the congressional share of the war power, for better or worse. So, look at that book review, see if you can figure out what the reviewer thinks about the views of Professor John Yu of the University of California Law School. And we will chat about that tomorrow night, Monday, and take the quiz on Tuesday. Now, going forward, the plan is about 10 days after our next quiz, we'll take a quiz related to Unit 6 on the federal bureaucracy. And then another week or 10 days after that, we'll be at the end of the month and we'll be ready for Exam 3 over Units 5 and 6. Unit 5 on the presidency and Unit 6 on the federal bureaucracy. Don't forget, everybody, we have about 2 months left in the term. If you want to write a term paper, you should at least be thinking about it. And I'd be happy to discuss with you in an email exchange any of those 15 topics you might have under consideration. If you did not get that document with the topics, please contact me and I will get that to you. But I'd be happy to discuss with any student your choice of topic for the term paper. Once you settle on one, I'll try to give you some pointers about where your research ought to go if you contact me before you dive into the research for your term paper. So, we'll chat tomorrow night, Monday, and take quiz number 5. It'll be available to you all day Tuesday. So, be looking at that material, and I will look forward to seeing at least some of you in the chat room tomorrow night, Monday. Take it easy.